All right, you degenerates, buckle up for another deep dive. Today, we're ditching the goddamn sunshine and sangria and heading straight into a shitstorm. Barcelona, January 1939. Franco's fascist goons at the gates, ready to crush the Republican resistance.
A pivotal moment. Barcelona was the heart of the Republican cause in the Spanish Civil War, their last major stronghold. We'll be dissecting how it all went to hell, digging into a Wikipedia article on the Fall of Barcelona.
More than just dates and battles, though, right? Let's cut the crap. Political backstabbing, urban chaos, and ordinary folks caught in this clusterfuck.
Absolutely. It's all connected.
Lay it on us.
Late 1938, the Republicans were already hanging by a thread. The Nationalists had the upper hand, more firepower, air superiority. The Battle of the Ebro, brutal, a turning point. A devastating loss that sealed the Republicans' fate.
So they were screwed, even with Barcelona being tucked away from the front lines.
Distance created a false sense of security. Barcelona was over 100 kilometers from the front. Dangerous complacency. But the Ebro made it clear Catalonia was next, with Barcelona as the prize.
All right, rewind to those first few weeks of 1939. Full-blown panic in Barcelona, or clinging to some semblance of normalcy.
A strange duality. On the surface, life went on, industry struggling, rationing in place. But people were still going to the cinema, reading newspapers. Classic. Regime trying to maintain control, projecting an image of stability while everything's crumbling.
Lipstick on a pig. Trying to make things look pretty while everything's falling apart. What movies were they even showing? Pro-Republican propaganda flicks.
Actually a mix. The sources mentioned some American productions, too.
So a little bit of Hollywood to distract from the impending doom. What finally shattered this facade?
Tarragona fell, January 15th, major port city. Only 80 kilometers from Barcelona, its capture sent shockwaves.
So it went from we're good to, oh shit, we're fucked real quick.
Precisely. The Republican leadership went into overdrive. Desperate attempt to fortify the city, rally the people, conscripting teenagers, middle-aged men with no training. Anyone they could get. Reeked of desperation.
So they're throwing everyone and their grandma at the front lines. The Nationalists are closing in. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. What were the folks in charge doing?
Now this is where it gets interesting. Publicly, they're calling for resistance, urging people to fight. But secretly, the Republican leadership was planning their escape.
Bunch of spineless bastards. Classic politician move. Let's send these suckers to die while we hightail it out of here. Were there any competent assholes left trying to hold things together?
It was a meltdown, not just a military defeat. Total political meltdown. The Republican government was fractured. Different factions vying for power, infighting, lack of unity, played right into the Nationalists' hands.
So total shit show. The city's about to fall. Everyone's scrambling for the exit. Who's the poor bastard left holding the bag?
Joan Camarera, leading figure in the Unified Socialist Party of Catalonia. He steps into the void, becomes the de facto mayor. The official authorities vanish. Imagine trying to keep a city from imploding while everyone's losing their minds.
Talk about a thankless job. What about the average Barcelonian? Rioting, looting, sacrificing goats to ward off Franco.
It was chaos. As the situation deteriorated, people became desperate. Rumors, misinformation, spreading like wildfire, accounts of looting, people grabbing what they could before the city fell.
Every man for himself. How long did it take for the whole damn thing to crumble?
The final days were swift, brutal. January 23rd to 26th, Barcelona practically empty out. A ghost town, abandoned vehicles, burning documents.
Burning documents, huh? Sounds like someone's trying to cover their ass. Who are these people hauling ass out of there?
Anyone who could. Government officials, military leaders, wealthy families, all packed up and bolted, leaving the city to its fate.
So the rats jumped ship, left the rest to drown. What about the Nationalist forces? Did they roll in with a victory parade? Was there some kind of last stand?
The takeover was anticlimactic. No major battle, no last stand. Nationalist patrols entered a deserted city, greeted by cheering supporters and terrified Republicans in hiding.
Fucking hell. What a letdown. All that buildup ends with a whimper.
A brilliant strategic move. From a military perspective, minimal losses, ready to install their administration.
Wait, they had a puppet government ready before they even took the city. Talk about efficiency.
Organization, ruthlessness, determined to consolidate their power quickly, efficiently. No time for dilly-dallying when you're building a fascist dictatorship.
So what happened to Barcelona after the jackboots marched in? Did they turn it into some kind of fascist theme park?
Not a theme park, but they imposed their will immediately. Repression, anyone suspected of Republican sympathies, swift, brutal. Catalan language and culture targeted, installed their own people, the mayor, civil governor, head of the Phalange.
Hold up, the Phalange. Hardcore fascist dickheads, right? Snazzy uniforms. Creepy salute.
Exactly. Key pillar of Franco's regime. Paramilitary organization, fanatical devotion to fascism, violent tactics.
So what was life like for the average Barcelonian? Under these fascist pricks, forced to goose-step down Los Ramblas, praise Franco every morning.
A dark period, no doubt. The sources detail widespread executions, official trials, extrajudicial killings. Thousands imprisoned, tortured, disappeared.
Extrajudicial killings. Fancy way of saying murdered without a trial.
Yeah.
These fuckers weren't messing around.
The Franco regime was built on fear, repression, dissent was crushed. Enemies of the state dealt with ruthlessly. It's important to understand the scale of the brutality. To grasp the full impact, the fall of Barcelona.
Mass executions, political purges, a city under the thumb of a fascist dictatorship. Sounds like a real party. So Barcelona, from revolutionary hotbed to fascist shithole practically overnight, did it ever recover? Or are we talking decades of economic and cultural ruin?
Barcelona's tough. It's been through a lot. This wasn't its first rodeo. Surprisingly, the city rebounded. Relatively quickly, economically speaking.
Really?
Infrastructure wasn't completely destroyed. Industrial production eventually surpassed pre-war levels.
Back to business as usual, but under Franco's iron fist. Build the factories, churn out the widgets, and shut the fuck up about freedom.
It wasn't that simple. This was a dictatorship. A regime built on suppressing dissent, controlling everything. Constant undercurrent of fear. The wounds of the war ran deep.
So while the factories were humming, people were still living under this oppressive cloud. What about those who stayed? Did they just roll over and accept it, or was there resistance?
There was resistance, of course. Underground movements, clandestine publications, people whispering their dissent. But the Francoist regime was brutal and efficient, stamping out any opposition. It took decades for real democracy to return to Spain.
It's wild how some people just swallow authoritarian crap, while others risk everything to fight back. What can we learn from this whole Barcelona fiasco, besides that fascists are power-hungry assholes?
It's a reminder how fragile freedom and democracy can be, how easily a society crumbles under extremism and authoritarianism. And it's relevant today, more than ever, with the rise of populism and strongman politics around the world.
Damn. Heavy stuff. So takeaway for our listeners planning a trip to Barcelona, besides packing extra sunscreen and a Spanish-English dictionary.
When you're there, strolling down Los Ramblas, sipping your sangria, admiring the architecture, take a moment. Remember the city's past, the people who fought and died for their ideals, and those who lived through the horrors of dictatorship. Remember the freedoms we enjoy. They weren't free. They were fought for, and they need to be protected.
All right, you bastards, that's our deep dive into the fall of Barcelona. City under siege, government imploding, people struggling to survive, horrors of war, resilience of the human spirit, importance of standing up for what you believe in, even when the shit hits the fan. Stay informed, stay vigilant, don't let the bastards grind you down. Until next time, keep your mind sharp and your drink strong. Cheers.